What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Big Freakin' Health Coach podcast. I'm Big Freakin' Neil.
Yeah, you are.
And I'm joined, as always, by my buddy, business partner, brain twin,
Boom.
Health Coach Kane.
Hey, Pally.
What's up, man? I love how excited you get during the intro.
I love that freaking intro.
It fires me up
every time. Just like you, boom, beat.
So good. The alliteration is so satisfying.
I love alliteration.
I do too.
It's like my favorite thing. I go out of my way to come up with alliterative names for things a lot of the time.
I do. That's generally a big deciding factor on names. Yeah. For sure. Dude, it's time for my personal favorite part.
Can I buy you a drink?
Please. you need not ask. What am I drinking today, bud?
I went classic today.
Oh, yeah.
I think a good old-fashioned rain.
Ooh. Love it.
Is going to have to be the thing.
Love it. Dude.
There you go, man.
That is always a safe bet. What we got? Razzleberry? We actually don't know if I've had this one before.
Really?
I'm not sure.
So we've tried some weird ones.
Yeah.
The last few shows. So I figured, you know what?
Time for a safe bet.
Let's not roll the dice. Let's get Big Neil something he likes today.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. I did not do the same for you.
That's fine, because that's not going to happen often.
I got you a weird one for sure.
Good.
So
I like the weird ones.
I've never heard of it, but this is by Mountain Dew. And
so you know it's good.
So you know it's good and probably cancerous. But it's called Game Fuel, and we're looking at Charged Orange Storm.
Damn,
it's
that
the
is an
flavor
aggressive name.
Very aggressive flavor. Shall we do the
cheers? The
weekly. Ooh. Oh, little explosion on your end.
A little bit. That was violent. Interesting.
What is that top?
I don't know how I'm supposed to open this. This is. Okay, Mountain Dew.
Well,
you win, Mountain Dew. I'll figure this out.
All right.
But for those of you who don't know, our segment, Can I Buy You a Drink, is all about, we're going to drink caffeinated beverages.
Yes.
So now we have decided to broaden our scope, if I can ever
branch
get this
out.
Damn thing open.
You need a hand there, buddy.
I think so. There's like tracks. It like slides back and forth. Look at that shit. What did you do? Is this how you don't buy me a drink? It's like, you've had enough of these. Please stop.
I'm going to give you one that you can't. Oh, dude, it's a...
What happened?
That was
it only slides?
That was some user error, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy. That's an embarrassing one.
You're going to need that.
So
you're going to need that,
see, now
buddy.
it's closed, so nothing can get in it. That's actually a really brilliant top.
It is if... Yeah,
it wasted on me.
I mean, okay. I would have attempted the same thing as you in just like
I'm trying to rip it off of this thing, but I don't want to like.
I mean, that's how you traditionally open a can: is you pull the tab up. So
it pours so smoothly this way.
Yeah,
Mountain Dew is genius.
They're also stepping up the game.
This does taste like straight up like Mountain Dew.
Does it?
Kind of
like orange,
you can
flavor Mountain
smell
Dew.
The orange.
Okay.
It's hard to taste. It's not like a strong orange flavor. You know it's there.
Yeah.
But it's like a Mountain Dew that sat next to some oranges earlier.
Somebody whispered the word orange into a can of Mountain Dew.
Nothing rhymes with orange.
Let's try out this razzleberry.
Give you the razzle dazzle.
Oh yeah, dude. Rain is always on point with their flavors.
They really are.
It's hard to
I like them a lot.
So I'm getting like a grapey vibe more so than I thought it was going to be like a blue raz.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would have assumed as well.
It's more of a grape.
All right.
Maybe I'm losing my mind. Maybe
could be the caffeine went straight to your brain. You're like, grapes.
2 sips. It's also possible that the amount of energy drink consumption has just seared off a good portion of my taste buds.
Dude, I think that happened while we were still training at Gold's back in the day. Mm-hmm. I think if that happened, it's not a recent phenomena.
I agree. It's been like that for a while. It's a lingering injury.
Yeah. that don't go away.
So scale 0 to 5, buddy, with decimals. What do you rate it?
Dude, I actually really like this.
Nice.
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Nice.
Honestly, like at least a 4.5.
Yeah.
It's smooth. Like, it does have 90 calories though.
Sorry, buddy.
It's cool. Just trying to cut right now. So that's really great. Appreciate
Trying
it.
to fatten you up a little bit.
Really love how supportive you are of my goals. But no, dude, this is very good.
Really passive aggressively sabotaging your weight loss goals.
Just like, here, have this. It's delicious. Want to share my fries later too?
Next week it's just going to be like a full-on frappuccino with whipped cream.
It's great. 250 calories in a cup.
Yeah, exactly. No, rain is always solid.
I know you're usually kind of an orange flavored guy.
I do like orange. I do like grape though. It's not my number one pick, but whenever I've had like an actual grape soda, I'm actually a pretty big fan. I'm gonna go 4.6.
Just got $1, Bob. Like just got it right above.
Just gotta one up you by a 0.1 there.
Yeah. All right, I'll take it.
It's solid though. I'm gonna enjoy this.
Dude, are you excited for our topic today?
Dude, so excited.
I'm so excited.
I think it's one that a lot of people need to hear.
Yes.
And yeah, it's very, very relevant now more than ever before, for sure. So what is that topic, buddy?
We are covering fad diets.
Yeah.
And we've only picked a couple. There are a lot to choose from.
There are lots to choose from.
We more or less stayed away from the famous 90s diets like Atkins and South Beach and Using the Zone.
Yeah.
But like those are no one's really talking about those
really
anymore.
talking about those anymore. Yeah.
So today we are sticking with intermittent fasting.
It's a big one.
Keto, which is just blowing up right now.
Very popular.
The carnivore diet, which is like really, honestly, when we get to that, I'm so excited to dig in on
I know, right?
And then the vegan diet.
The polar opposite of the carnivore diet.
Right, the vegan diet, but specifically for fat loss. If you have ethical reasons that you're vegan, do you. Like, I would totally support you in that. There's nothing wrong with veganism at all.
Yeah.
But people who use it as a fat loss gimmick, we have some feedback for you.
Yeah, like if you don't have a strong stance on if animals should be eaten as food ethically, but you still pick the vegan diet for health and or fat loss reasons, that's what we need to dive into.
Yeah. There's ways to do it, but we'll get there.
Let's roll out with some intermittent fasting, man. This is...
First, we need to give an obvious disclaimer.
Let's hear it.
We are not nutritionists in the sense that we are not registered dietitians. We do coach nutrition, but not on a medical level.
True.
For all of this advice and all of this review of these diets, we are assuming healthy function of hormones and major organs and things like that. So if you have things like liver, kidney problems or are diabetic, pre-diabetic, things of that nature, this advice may not necessarily be for you, and you should default to whatever your doctor says.
Yes.
Because we are not doctors.
If there's some medical reason why your doctor recommends one of these, listen to your doctor. Don't ignore them for this advice.
Never let a trainer overrule your doctor.
Yes.
Okay?
100%.
That's important. The other thing I want to cover really quickly so you can look ahead as we talk about these things is each of these diets, the underlying reason that they do work for some people is because they create a calorie deficit.
Yes.
So, if you can find the deficit in all of these examples, maybe you should win something. I don't even know how we would do this game, but keep an eye out for that. We'll explain it as we go through there, but know that all of these create a deficit. So,
yes, that is definitely the common denominator. And technically speaking, all of these diets work. But they work for that very specific reason. None of these diets we're about to talk about are magic. That's why we refer to them as fad diets. But yeah, man, let's dive in. So intermittent fasting, for those of you who don't know, is limiting your eating window. Usually it's a minimum of a 16-hour fast and an 8-hour eating window. That's usually the most conservative approach. And then I've seen extreme examples of people only eating for 4 hours and fasting for 20.
4 is about as short as I've ever heard.
Same. Yeah. So yeah, let's dive in, man. First of all, if somebody is able to lose weight, intermittent fasting, which I know many people can, what's the primary reason for that? Why is that working for some people?
By shortening the window that you allow yourself to eat food in, a lot of that mindless snacking and things that happen kind of go away.
Right.
So you're limiting the window you have to actually take in calories.
Right.
And that's obviously going to lead to a caloric deficit as long as you're not making up for them in the eating window.
Yeah.
Conversely, on the other side, it's still an 8-hour eating window. You can eat a lot of food in 8 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're still overeating in those 8 hours, intermittent fasting is not just going to suddenly be like, oh, hey, because your hormones move slightly differently, you're going to lose a bunch of weight even though you're in a calorie surplus. It doesn't work that way.
Yep, exactly. I've personally tried out a variation of intermittent fasting just for convenience, just because the idea of only having to devote 8 hours out of the day to eating is somewhat appealing, just for scheduling reasons. But what trips me up, and again, I haven't stuck to this for any substantial amount of time, but my issue is I can eat a lot in 8 hours.
Yeah, buddy.
And if I've fasted for 16, I'm ready to eat.
Yeah, I'm ravenous by then.
Ravenous, dude. And when you get to that point, it's so easy to just, that first meal, when you break your fast, to go way overboard.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're already in a big calorie hole. And by the time you finish out those 8 hours, you're in a surplus.
Yeah.
Very easy to do.
So it works really well for my clients who can't eat that much in one sitting.
Sure.
And need to cut their calorie intake with something that has hard boundaries on it.
Yeah.
So it's like you only eat between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Right.
Now, all the late night snacking you were doing after 6 when you're done with dinner, you can't do that anymore. Boom, 500 calorie deficit without breaking a sweat.
Yep.
And they can't make up for it because they just can't eat that much food during their window. So it's awesome for that.
It is a really good sort of hard and fast, simple rule for people to follow. If they are that type of individual, like you said, that is not going to sit down and plow through 2,000 calories in a single sitting as soon as they break their fast.
People who are the opposite of us.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, no, I think that's true. By shortening the time period in which you're eating, it's easy to see how that would create a calorie deficit for some people because you just have less time to eat food.
Right.
So if you're not eating super, super high calorie meals, as soon as you break your fast, you just have less time to overeat. So for some people, if you don't want to actually have to worry about tracking numbers and you just want one simple rule to follow, if you're not going to overeat in 8 hours, then it's the perfect system.
Yeah.
Honestly. There's also some fairly heavily researched and proven benefits health-wise to fasting. That said, none of that research actually shows any magical increase in weight loss disproportionate to the calorie deficit.
Yeah, there's a lot of context that goes into those studies that show the other health benefits.
Yeah.
They're usually the population that would benefit from the hormone regulation that goes with that kind of eating pattern.
Right.
So there are medical reasons for it, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, that make it more effective. But otherwise, honestly, a lot of people accidentally intermittent fast all the time. If you skip breakfast on a regular basis, you're probably an intermittent faster.
Probably.
And you haven't even noticed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on to the next one that is just everywhere I look now.
Yes.
Keto, the ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, buddy.
So basically, this was made for medical reasons. This diet was an approach to regulating insulin and cortisol levels, and it was made for epileptic folks and diabetics, and I think specifically type 2 diabetic people.
Yeah.
Basically, they just rip all the carbs out of your diet.
Yep. Yeah, I believe I've seen a couple different methods, but usually it's no more than 30 grams of carbs per day.
I think so.
Including like fiber, like everything. It's no more than 30 grams per day, I believe.
And the idea there is that once you have no carbohydrates in your system, your body has to convert to a different form of energy. So you start producing ketones. and it burns specifically fat a lot more.
So, devil's advocate here. Most people, when they hear, oh, this tricks your body into utilizing energy from fat rather than carbs, how is that not a good thing? How is that not leading to more fat loss? Because, oh, now you're burning fat for energy.
Now, here's the thing. It does lead to fat loss.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. I will never claim that it doesn't. The thing is, fat is not your primary energy source for a lot of the things that you do, and for good reason.
Right.
Okay? Especially for intentional activity like resistance training, carbohydrates are your number one energy source. Your brain tends to run on a lot of carbohydrates as well.
Yeah.
That's why people who start a ketogenic diet end up having brain fog for a little while, super low energy levels. There's a 1 to 2 week like introductory phase where a lot of people feel pretty garbage.
Yeah.
And then it starts to kick in and it starts working. A lot of people like it. It doesn't work particularly well for athletic populations, because you're not utilizing the right energy systems for fast, powerful movement or strength movements.
Right.
And, there was another point I was going to make. I can't remember what it was all of a sudden.
Yeah.
The thing is, coming out of this diet is very difficult. Folks tend to lose a lot of muscle mass along with the fat. And so, yes, you get a lot thinner, but sometimes not even necessarily leaner. Your body fat percentage can stay pretty close to the same if you're not making sure you get enough protein.
Yeah. That's my biggest issue with it too. Like you said about transitioning off of the diet. It's something that you just have to maintain 100% of the time. The second you divert and eat carbohydrates, it forces your body out of ketosis, and then you just have to restart the process. So it's like,
and that's the point I was going to make.
Yeah.
There's no levels to being in ketosis. You either are or you aren't.
Correct.
Your body has or does not have its primary energy source. So it's not like you could be like, okay, so I need to eat 30 grams or less of carbohydrates today. I'm going to eat 40 and just be in like a light ketosis. It's not a thing. Right. So you're in or you're out. And then without those carbohydrates, the way that you handle carbohydrates and your nutrient partitioning changes over time. And that's why when people come off the ketogenic diet, you see a lot of instances where they gain a lot of weight back.
Yeah. Yeah, it can definitely lead to sort of the yo-yo dieting effect, where you're on it for a while, you lose a whole bunch of weight. You're also going to lose a big chunk of weight because carbohydrates hold more molecules of water than any other nutrient. So by cutting out carbohydrates, you're losing a ton of water weight initially, just because you're not getting all that water that's attached to those carbs. So yeah, you will get perceived like a ton of results up front because you're going to lose a chunk of weight on the scale. And then the second you divert from it, all of that water weight comes back. So you end up, taking a couple steps forward and then 3 steps back and just kind of continuing the cycle. So
like if you have a normally functioning thyroid, you're not epileptic, you're not diabetic, there's not really a huge advantage to you getting into a ketogenic diet and then trying to transition your way back out. It's doable. Yeah. If it works well for you and you're leaning that way anyway, go for it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do with yourself, but make sure that when you come out of it, if you want to, you have someone to help you incrementally come out of it.
I think it's also important to understand that not all people are going to be able to just regulate their caloric intake and portion sizes enough. I mean, that stuff is hard. Like,
it is hard.
Most people struggle with some aspect of just emotional eating, and it's a really complicated thing to change. So
there are a lot of habits that go into each change that goes with that.
Absolutely. So I've had clients who have actually had good success with the keto diet simply because it is easier for them to adhere again to this hard and fast rule, and it gets them in that calorie deficit that they need, and it does the trick. Now, if that client has a bunch of strength and performance goals, or is, trying to build a big chunk of lean muscle mass, I'm definitely going to recommend that we switch things up. Yeah. Or at least transition out of it. But for some people, if you have a whole bunch of weight to lose and it's hard for you to just regulate your portions if you don't have those, clear-cut rules, those extreme rules, then it's viable for some people, at least as a jumping off point.
Yeah.
As a place to start.
Yeah. And like we've both had plenty of clients that have used the ketogenic diet very successfully.
Yeah.
We've helped them come off of it.
Absolutely.
But we're also usually in touch with a doctor or something in those cases as well.
Yes.
Just to make sure that we have all our bases covered and we're in good communication from a health standpoint.
It is an extreme diet. You are removing an entire nutrient. It's not an essential nutrient. You don't need it to survive, but it is a major nutrient that your body expects as an energy source, and an actual physiological change is occurring because of that. So it is extreme, and it's good to cover your bases, like you said.
Yeah.
What's next, buddy?
Dude, the only diet this podcast that I will say you should not do.
I'm going to agree with you there.
This is the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
The carnivore diet is pretty much just a giant middle finger to vegans for no reason.
Yeah.
Where they said, we're just going to eat meat and some other animal products, and there are no fruits, vegetables, legumes, beans, or anything of that nature allowed.
It's a weird one, man.
It's just dumb.
It's a weird one.
Where are you going to get any of your micronutrients?
I mean, I could see, like, if you're on something like keto and you just don't eat enough vegetables accidentally, but to intentionally, as a rule, remove vegetables from your diet is just weird.
Yeah.
I've never heard of something like this before. And you're right. It's basically like the polar opposite of veganism. It literally looks like some guy was just pissed at some vegans and just decided, you know what?
You're not going to eat meat? I'm going to eat all the meat.
I'm going to eat all the meat and none of the vegetables.
Yeah, and you can't have any.
So yeah.
Like, yeah, I really don't even have much to say about it. It's just like...
It's pretty stupid.
It's a
Let's be real.
Completely incomplete diet. That was a very dumb way of putting that. But, like...
Completely incomplete.
Completely incomplete. But
it is, though.
Seriously, you can't not eat vegetables. And look, I'm the first guy to jump at the burgers.
Oh, dude.
And the steak and the hot dogs. I'm not a vegetarian by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm still like, really? Like, you won't eat a salad?
Yeah. It's kind of like, it sort of seems like a child who is just fed up with eating his green vegetables decide to make a diet. That's literally what it's like.
And like, so sure, you can lose some weight doing it because you're, again, only eating protein and fat.
Right.
It will cut a bunch of calories out of your diet. You will lose some water weight. And from what I hear, a lot of the water weight you lose is via diarrhea. Not a joke.
Makes a lot of sense.
Everything that I have read, seen, heard has reported serious GI issues that go along with this.
Yeah. It's just sort of a lose-lose. There's really no upside to it. And again, talking about those common denominators, it removes calories, creates a deficit because you're removing a whole ton of food options for yourself. And then it's going to cover your protein bases for sure, because that's all you're eating. So you're getting enough protein, you're getting more than enough protein, and you're cutting away calories. So yeah, you'll lose some body fat.
Yeah.
But man, is it worth the diarrhea?
God, it's just...
And the micronutrient deficiencies.
For real, like... Besides iron, you will be deficient in everything from that point.
Yeah. I mean, I know you can get a fair amount of B vitamins from red meat, but yeah, there are a lot of vitamins you're not going to get.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
That's all we have to say about that one, I think.
I think so too.
Don't do carnivore.
Don't do carnivore.
It's the only one I'm going to tell you. You should not do that.
Yeah.
Moving on to vegan diets.
Okay. Opposite end of the spectrum.
Opposite. Total opposite. So, ethically...
Yeah.
If you want to be vegan, be vegan.
Oh, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with being vegan. And thanks to the awesome supplementation and things like that, and the careful attention that you can pay to your diet these days, you can be a very healthy vegan.
Absolutely.
Now, the things that you do have to look out for are B vitamins, especially B12.
Yeah.
And iron.
Yeah.
A lot of folks who switch to a vegan diet and don't do appropriate supplementation end up anemic or with chronic sports anemia.
Yeah.
That's a very important thing to make sure that you are on top of.
Another big one is making sure you're getting sufficient protein with actual complete amino acid profiles.
Yes.
So not all proteins are created equal. most animal-based proteins are, I think all animal-based proteins are complete proteins, meaning they have all of the essential amino acids, which is what you want for building and retaining muscle mass. Many of the plant-based proteins are not complete. Now,
right. They will have a random smattering of some of the essential, some of the non-essential.
Yeah. Now, that said, there are a lot of really good supplements out there, specifically vegan protein powders, where they specifically choose combinations of various incomplete vegan protein sources to form a complete protein. Mm-hmm. Because by combining different types of proteins, you can get a complete amino acid profile.
Yeah.
Doing that without any supplementation is going to be tough.
It's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. And that's why they have the soy proteins and the rice proteins and the pea proteins, the combos. Yeah. You can find them all over the place. A lot of them don't taste the best, but you can make them into smoothies that taste a lot better.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem, really.
Absolutely.
Take some B12 and be on your way.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about... So if someone take away the ethical reasons. Mm-hmm. So someone does not have any ethical reasons for wanting to be vegan. They chose veganism just purely for weight loss reasons. What's your response to that?
It's not a great pick.
Yeah.
Because generally speaking, and this is a gross generalization, but it holds fairly true, especially in the US, people are generally overweight from overconsumption of carbohydrates.
Sure.
Those are all still on the table. You can eat a boatload of carbs, all the bread you want, all the whole grains, all the everything you want.
Right.
And for some folks, they don't gravitate towards the vegetables and the fruits and things like that. They gravitate towards the grains.
Yeah.
And then you end up overeating on carbohydrates. And once your muscle bellies and your liver have all the glycogen they need, the glycogen from those carbs gets immediately transmitted into fat for storage for potential energy later.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
And so the idea that you would save enough calories from not eating straight up protein and fat sources like meat and dairy and any other real animal product, if you're over consuming the grains and like the complex carbohydrates, it's a wash or worse.
Yeah.
So you just need to know what you're eating.
Right. The biggest distinction between that and people who are successful doing like keto is with keto, you're removing a lot of those foods that people tend to overeat on.
Yep.
You're removing a lot of really calorically dense foods and carb dense foods. It's harder to... Well, I guess it depends on the person, but for a lot of people, it's going to be harder to overeat on just, meat and...
Fat is satiating.
Exactly.
It makes you feel full.
It's going to keep you fuller. With veganism, like you said, all that is still on the table. The only thing you're removing is the animal products. Mm-hmm. So there's still a whole lot of calorie-dense foods that you're still allowed to eat. So,
and the other side of that coin is, if you are sticking to the vegetables and the fruits and things... Those are all very nutrient rich, but they are very calorie, there's no calories in any of that stuff.
Sure. So you can go the other extreme too.
The volume you have to eat is incredibly high.
Right.
And that makes it really hard.
Yeah.
To get enough calories in a day. And then you start losing weight, sure. But if you're also not getting enough protein, you're losing a lot of muscle very quickly as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's safe to say there's a right way to do it, and it's perfectly viable if you do have ethical reasons for wanting to be a vegan. There's definitely good ways to go about it and still be a healthy, functioning person. But optimal for weight loss, probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it. There's examples of vegan bodybuilders and powerlifters and athletes and all that kind of stuff, and they do a really good job. So if you want to go vegan, go for it. Talk to your doctor about it. Make sure that you guys are tracking the right markers.
Yeah.
And do it the right way. That's just how it is.
Absolutely. Yep.
I think that covers our big four.
I think so too.
All of them put you in a calorie deficit.
Yeah. The biggest takeaway is none of them are magic.
Yeah.
All of them create calorie deficits for various reasons if they're applied properly. And most of them, minus the veganism, are going to just sort of naturally cover your protein bases. So with those two things in place, yeah, you're going to lose some body fat from following these diets. Yeah. But it's important to understand why.
Yeah. You should really understand why and be ready to very gradually come off of any of these diets if and when you decide to do so.
Yeah.
But I think about covers it.
I think that about covers it as well.
That's another killer episode of the Big Freakin' Health Coach podcast. Big Freakin' Neil over here. Check him out on Instagram. I'm Health Coach Kane. If you have questions about this episode, you can hit us up there or in the comments below on this show. Please like, share, and leave us some good comments and reviews with your questions. And we will catch you next time.